Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen to the Grog Pod Roguelike podcast, where each episode we dive deep into the catacombs of roguedom, slay its demonic ruler by slapping some rating numbers on it, and if it's holy enough, revisiting the game at the end of season recap tournament, which is coming up much closer than I thought it was. I am your village elder host of the podcast, Scott Berger, and with me are my heroic co-hosts.
This is Will, your health potion of guzzling.
And this is Colin, a random corpse on a floor that you kick to get some gold.
Hey, it's your main man from Tristram, Andrew Harshman. How you doing?
And we are joined with a special guest, one who is almost like an honorary fifth member of the podcast, because we are just in constant contact with them for so long, and probably about this time, I think, marks around like the 20 years of him and I knowing each other. But who is our special guest co-host for this episode?
Hello. I am Wirt with both his legs. It's good to talk to you all. My name's Robert.
Yay! Woo! We can finally tear Robert away from his weekend squad addictions to join our once every 2 week addiction to talk about games that Robert definitely loves and plays all the time.
Yes.
But
Great to be here.
Yes. But yeah, in this case, we're talking Diablo, 1997's classic game Diablo. Although I have the release date here for January 3rd, 1997, but in some cases you could get it on the West Coast December 31st, 1996, but for website purposes, I'm listing it as 97. November 97 was when the Hellfire expansion came out, but I'll talk about that in a second. Diablo, 1997 Diablo. You can now currently find it on Good Old Games, on GOG. You can find it on the Blizzard service Battle.net. You can find it on Xbox Game Pass. Hell, you can even find it on PlayStation 1 if you have an antique store near you. But for most of this podcast, we're going to be talking about the Devolution X version of Diablo, which I guess technically runs off of the GOG version, which runs on Android, Windows, Linux, Mac OS X, FreeBSD, iOS and iPad, Nintendo Switch, Nintendo 3DS, Xbox One/Series X, PlayStation 4, PlayStation Vita, Clockwork Pi Game Shell, the GKD350H, the Retro FW, the RG350, and the Mayu Mini.
Does it run on a TI-83?
You know, I would be shocked at this point if it didn't, because if it can run on basically everything else. Diablo, developed by, maybe you've heard of them, Blizzard, who are, well, I guess technically Blizzard North, who existed from 93 to 2005. Notable for maybe some other game you may have heard of, Diablo 2, which came out in the year 2000, but and also published by one Blizzard, who a storied history that we could go on for a long time about. But the highlights: 1994, Blackthorn, Warcraft; 95, Warcraft 2; 97, Diablo and Lost Vikings 2; 98, StarCraft and StarCraft Brood War; 2000, Diablo 2; 2003, Warcraft 3; 2004, World of Warcraft; 2010, StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty; 2012, Diablo 3; 2014, Hearthstone; 2015, Heroes of the Storm, we all remember that one; 2016, Overwatch; and 2023, Diablo 4, among many others. But your average play time of Diablo. Normally, I pull these stats from Steam and do some wizard math on top of it. But in this case, I had to retreat to howlongtobeat.com, and the main story looks like you can beat in 13 hours. But if you wanted to complete everything, it's like 28. And finally, doing some more wizard math, using the 2,053 total reviews on the GOG platform and comparing that to, which I'll get into the reason why, against roguelike games on Steam. This would be the number 483rd most popular roguelike **** game on Steam. But Robert, that item dropping sound that you just heard is a one sentence legendary item that has a description of it, of what one does in Diablo.
Yeah. I mean, so you enter some catacombs and you click your way down, mostly left clicking if you're a warrior. And as you fight your way down, you fight harder and harder guys, and you collect better and better loot until you get to the end. And then you have to fight, as the namesake might imply, Mr. Diablo himself.
Mr. Diablo. Well, as people are downloading this episode and slamming their cars to a halt on the freeway, as they always do, they're getting out of their cars and yelling into traffic. This game is not a roguelike. Why is this roguelike podcast covering this? I'm quite upset. I'm very enraged, and I'm going to turn into the Lord of Terror myself. Um, well, I sense your souls in search of answers as to why we would be covering this. But I mean, just coming hot off the heels of our Caves of Cut episode previously, where it makes sense to kind of blur the lines between RPGs with procedural elements and pure, whatever that means, roguelikes. Um, there are definitely things where like if a game goes super long, it basically is an RPG anyway. So we're using some creative leeway here in order to give Andrew and Will a break from some pure traditional roguelikeism and get some more fire back in. But crucially, this game also started as a traditional roguelike. So if you dig through some documentation that I have here, the creator of the game um, said he had ideas of creating Diablo from the start, combining D&D and stuff from the roguelike genre, particularly Angband, which maybe will be stay tuned for that one. And he wanted to improve how quickly the player would be able to get into the game compared to typical role-playing games. The team's initial pitch was to take the excitement and randomness of games like Moria, NetHack, and Rogue and bring them into the 1990s with fantastic graphics and sound. However, most publishers turned down the idea on the grounds that RPGs are, quote, dead. Quote from David Brevik here, really quick, on the creation of Diablo. He says, one of the things we wanted to try to get with Diablo was ease of gaming. The NHL series was really good at this, where you just click and you're in the game. Before Diablo, when you created a character, you had to answer 53 questions about this and that and the other, and you had to name it, and you had to give it a backstory, and so on. We just wanted to get in and start smashing things. And I guess the last point I'll kind of touch on here was that this game was originally turn-based, is now famously real-time. Although if you squint really hard, you can still see that the turn-based implementation here, because when they were pitching this to Diablo, or they were
pitching it to the
Diablo,
devil himself.
and they may as well have
Hollywood.
these days. Blizzard was like, this game has got to be real-time. None of this turn-based nonsense. And so David Brevik, the lead programmer, was like, what if I just took these turn-based systems and just made the turns really fast? And that's basically what we have, where like if you click on something or if you use a spell, it takes up like kind of a certain amount of time units you can sort of think of. But instead of pausing at the end of that, it just continues to the next thing. So it's
real-time turn-based?
It effectively is, yes, real-time turn-based. And that kind of gives us this origin story for how even if you take like the bare minimum amount of like polish and graphic, well, I say bare minimum now, but I guess at the time we'll get into it. If you take things that are very crunchy like NetHack and all those traditional roguelikes and put the Blizzard level of polish on it, this is the result. And so I think maybe that's our justification for talking about it this time.
And not only that, I mean, I don't know when the last time is y'all looked at the Berlin interpretation of what a roguelike is. I mean, I, of course, have mine emblazoned on a sheet of aluminum metal, laser etched.
You don't have it as like a diamond
fireplace
that you've just jammed into your forehead?
Well, that's the portable version, of course. Diablo 1 has 7, count it, 7 of the elements.
Out of how many?
Out of, I don't know, it's like 10 or something. It doesn't matter. Random environment generation. Hello. This game is like the quintessential example of that. Come on, baby. You got the complexity and the level of solutions, the different ways you can fight. 3 different classes. That's 3 different ways to kill minions. Resource management, obviously. Hack in slash. This is one of the hackinest, slashingest games we have ever covered, of course. It's technically grid based in the idea that most games are grid based. Yo, check it out. Exploration and discovery. Come on, specifically in the definition, it name drops. Yo, Berlin interpretation. You gotta have those classic Berlin unidentified items. How many other games have we covered on this so-called roguelike podcast
Dave's Cud.
with unidentified items? Yeah,
Never
like
heard
only
of
the
it.
good ones. Like 3 or 4, maybe, something like that. And then, it kind of has, it doesn't technically have permadeath, but I'm sure at some point we're going to talk about how really awful it feels to die in this game. So it may as well have permadeath. It's almost as bad. It's a fate worse than permadeath, oftentimes.
At least with permadeath, they put you down and tell you can't get your items back.
They're doing you a favor at that point.
Yeah.
Indeed. So hey, what I thought it might be fun during our music episode, I talked about my history with Diablo 1, which is that I heard about it and I was enchanted by the concept of such a grisly game. And I was critically enchanted by the concept that a game could be different every time you played it, that the level could be randomly generated. Thought it might be fun to go around the horn and ask about people's history. Is there any interesting historical notes? Colin, you mentioned that you probably would not have been allowed to buy this game when you were a child, given its
Absolutely
demonic
not.
contents.
No.
I think that's a common.
I mean, my parents
story.
weren't even that, like, I'm sure Will's definitely didn't let him buy.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we were lucky to get StarCraft, and that's only because I think my parents didn't see the cover of the expansion, because with the was it Kerrigan with the mascara.
Well, we probably just burned you a copy of Brood War, so
Yeah, no, I definitely would not have had this game though.
yeah. I mean, my parents weren't even that like hardcore. It's just like, no, well, no, you can't buy. There are many games you could buy, but you can't buy one that's literally the devil.
Right.
Like,
you
I'm sorry,
playing,
that's
son?
like we're not even being that like hard. Just no.
I feel like Andrew, we probably played. No, we didn't play Diablo 1, but we definitely played Diablo 2, like
Oh,
back
sure.
in the day.
Yeah. But let
When
it be
did wait? When
known
did
that I
Diablo 2
was
come out?
2000.
like a mere peasant.
Because I definitely played Diablo 2. So, but that's, I mean,
And I did play Diablo 1. My parents didn't really care. They just you just play whatever, as long as you turn out okay. It's good.
And now look what happened. I mean,
I was fighting the devil, so it was good. I was the good guy, right? So it was okay.
That's true.
Indeed, this is an awesome game in the Old Testament style. This is a proper righteous video game that all good Christians should play.
yeah, I definitely had Diablo 2, so my parents didn't restrict me from playing it for that long. Like, once you're a teenager, you're allowed to fight the devil. That's fair game.
well, they were so worried that you would be corrupted by the presence of the
Once I had been confirmed Lutheran, they knew I was safe. My soul was safe.
There you go.
I
But
could
before
fight,
then,
I could fight him
anything
with
goes.
the small catechism.
Now,
You-
did anyone face this issue, this conundrum growing up as a younger gamer? Did anyone know anyone who insisted this game was called Diablo?
No.
Why?
Well, I definitely wasn't that person, for the record. But I heard that quite a few times, and it was one of those things where it's like, hey, the internet was around, but we didn't have it in the palm of our hand. We couldn't just say, also we didn't have any Spanish-speaking people around, apparently, to just say, look, here's definitive proof. It is a word.
It's
And
original
this is how you
dialogue.
pronounce it.
Yeah, I think that like for me growing up, I don't know, like computer games, and I guess specifically RPGs, like I was a big console gamer growing up, so like computer games weren't really a thing for me, at least until like StarCraft, and then there was no going back. But and I think I talked about it in this music episode, but like my very Christian neighbor down the street was like in hushed tones, like, well, I found this game on my dad's computer, and I don't think I'm allowed to show you it. But I remember him showing me like the very first level, like
Whoa.
running around in like the cathedral zone, and I'm just like, at the time, I don't know what, like we were probably like 8 or 9 or something. I'm just like, this is easily the scariest thing I've ever seen in my entire life, just from like the like level 1 or 2 of running around, and I feel like most of that is attributed, like this game's aesthetic and art style is great. And I think that like even today, like going on 30 years, um, maybe part of the scariness was just the fact that like the graphics were like so not they're not bad, but they're like so like crunchy and dark and grimy and grungy and so like
Sure, it's a pretty grim dark game.
Yeah.
I think that Diablo 1 has a better aesthetic than Diablo 3 or 4.
100%.
Like Diablo 2 obviously best Diablo.
Yeah.
But like this one like there's a lot wrong with it, but it does like it's the best you could have possibly done in terms of like oh, you're actually descending into this weird crypt into hell. Like I don't think that you can make better graphics than this in 1998-7.
And all attitude, like for Diablo 3 and 4, I think the main problem there is that because they had made WoW and all these other games, everything just kind of became homogenized towards this kind of more cartoony style. And then so like yeah, they really lost the cool dark aesthetic of the Diablo 1 and 2.
Well,
Yeah, and I like
but
for
the
Warcraft,
trade-off.
it's fine, but for Diablo, it's like, come on, this, yeah,
Well, the trade-off with Diablo 3 is that we get really good writing, like for the butcher where he says vegetable bad, meat good.
I mean,
that's
you
fair.
can't beat that line.
Oh man.
Or I will
Diablo
feast
3
on your bones as I drink your blood. Or I don't know. There's so
Classic.
many just terrible
Classic
ones.
line.
It's just the
Is it
random grab
act?
bag of arrogant Nephilim bone blood.
You can never defeat me.
So much mustache twirling. Nary a mustache, I feel like, in this game.
I
And
mean, you wouldn't be able to see it.
that's
It'd be
true.
like
Yeah,
5 pixels on his face.
all 5 pixels. Although there is a very nice remastered intro cinematic that I don't remember if it's in the GOG version, but um, like even the remastered cinematic to this game like really sets the tone for like, oh yeah, this is some dark shit you're about to get into. There's gonna be pentagrams and child sacrifice around the corner. Um, and like in classic Blizzard cinematic fashion, it is so well directed, and it's only like a minute and a half long, but it's just like it sets the well. I feel like this is maybe from some other separate video game because I'm not entirely sure what it has to do with a lot of what you see in this game, but it starts with like you boot up the game, and first thing you're greeted with this intro cinematic with like this big mound and like a sword with like a big like fiery glow behind it, and it looks very cool. And then smash cut to like this dilapidated shanty town, and there's like crows picking eyes out of corpses on the ground, and there's like this quick shot of some knight who comes in, and like boom, immediately you can tell this is a StarCraft cinematic. Because if like I was like half paying attention for a second, I was like, wait a minute, is that a StarCraft Marine? Oh no, that's a knight. It just is animated kind of the same way. Smash cut to more corpses and corners and like people hanging from their necks and gallows, as you do in computer video games. Presumably, our knight character is now unmasked, like skulking around the shanty town. And then there's like a cut to some coffin that opens into some purple magic inside. The sword starts glowing purple, and then like quick jumps to like goats wielding maces coming out of the dark, and you are greeted by the screaming visage of the Lord of Terror himself, Diablo, in like this really like
Yeah, what
low
Scott is trying to
poly-
say is that it's sick. It is metal as hell. And I believe that rendering of Diablo at the very end was later used for the PS1 cover of this game, which is, I assume that's the version we all played, right? That's the correct way to play this game on an analog controller.
Hey,
For the
I played most
PSX.
of
I played it on the 2025 PC because I've never played this game before 2 weeks ago.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, this intro sets a tone. Ooh boy, oh boy, and even and they, I think, pretty wisely, they like a good horror movie with a guy in a costume as the main monster. They use lighting to their advantage. Like these 3D models look pretty bad, but The way they're using shadow and light is very nice, and again sets the tone and helps kind of obscure some of the less polished elements.
I mean, yeah, but again, couching it for like 1997, I can only imagine the people that were playing this for the first time that were just like their socks were like completely blown off their feet of like, whoa, this is kind of unlike anything they've probably ever played. Like I don't really have a good sense of where computer RPGs for the personal computer were at the time, but it was basically what, like Baldur's Gate and Ultima,
I think we were
and then
playing
this.
pinball on our Windows 95 machines. I think that was what we were all doing.
Yes,
I have the strong every time I go back and play Mech Warrior 2, which in my brain was lifelike graphics, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like polygons. Like you can count them on your hand, polygons. And yeah. I think it's better it's easier to compare this to StarCraft for me because I have a much stronger memory of StarCraft.
Mhm.
And like I remember being absolutely blown away by the cutscenes in StarCraft 1 and just being like, this is cinema. This is like
Behind you.
and part of it is like, oh, because Blizzard does really good like the little mini movies in them are well done, like filmography type stuff.
Mhm, mhm.
But then also just like it's good
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
that's a good cutscene.
The Blizzard cinematics of that era were like scheduled viewing. Like people
Yeah.
would
I
gather
mean, yeah, still go
around.
back and watch the StarCraft one, like Take Us into Orbit, Alexi, or Mr.
Yep,
Malmsteen, or
Mr.
whatever it
Mouth.
is.
Yep.
Like,
Totally. Yeah, 100%.
Where is the air support? And his like lips are
yeah.
like completely unhinged from his jaw and everything.
Right. In my brain, that Where is the air support was like Steven Spielberg level cinematography, like real man. You know, you go watching, you're like, still really well done though.
Yes. And yeah, so this game pretty old, going on 30 years old. We played not the 30-year-old version as close to it was back then, but I'm just gonna say this. Thank God for the Devolution X mod team. Because, good Lord, I don't know if we could have even gotten as far as we did without, or enjoyed as much as we did without it. And this is an open source mod that is like a port of the Diablo system and the Hellfire expansion that really brings it into a much needed like like borderline Diablo remastered quality of life improvements. And there are just, it's like a mile long list of stuff with like being able to like click on things in a way that makes sense for the 21st century, or like auto pick up gold, or being able to run in town. Good God. And that's so I guess like to kind of couch our playing experience in 2025. That's what we were playing with. So you do have the option if you go to GOG, Good Old Games, and buy Diablo there, you can play the OG Diablo. And I did tinker around with that for a minute. And I was like, yep, I'm glad this exists. It belongs in a museum. And once again, thank God for the Devolution X team. And yes, but I think the design here generally is kind of unmessed with. Really, it's just kind of like quality of life polish to make it more palatable to the modern gamer. But you are greeted, yeah, after that intro cinematic with just like the start screen of like single player, multiplayer, or like some options, and that's kind of it. Well, I guess at the time it was BattleNet as well, but for multiplayer, our own multiplayer experiences, maybe we'll get into in a minute. But
What
yeah,
was the
like
multiplayer back in the day?
what
Was there
was it?
anything? It was just a single player game, right?
No,
Oh no,
it had
no.
BattleNet. You
There was
could
BattleNet for this?
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
you remember BattleNet for StarCraft, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, I well aware. I mean, BattleNet still exists.
Well, like there's the old StarCraft BattleNet and
Yeah.
new BattleNet,
Yeah,
which
I mean, I remember BattleNet, and I mean, I'll bring it back to Mech Warrior 2. I remember trying to coordinate getting on to the same thing, but like you couldn't communicate with your friend because you only had one phone line. So you had to like, if we can't get into the same game by 7 15, then unconnect your computer from the internet and reconnect your phone back in so we can talk on the phone, and then we'll try and troubleshoot, and then unplug our phone and try and get back into BattleNet or whatever.
This is why the LAN gaming was so. That's what we did. We would just like all get together one place, or like was it middle school? You and I would go to
We play in the computer lab.
the computer lab, exactly.
The computer lab. We had like a bunch of computer labs in the computers in the middle school, and you could burn multiple copies of Brood War onto many computers as long as you had one legit CD.
Y'all,
That
we
was-
used to
that was
have a
great.
whole dedicated laboratory for the
Yes.
computers.
It
We used to be a real
was-
country.
It was amazing. Yeah, that was a great
With-
childhood
And
experience.
the teachers would watch us with like, I guess it's good that they're playing on computers. They're learning, right?
Computers are the future, so
They're
These
learning
are the
must be
future, and
good.
they're learning stuff, so I guess that's good.
So
They're-
yeah,
they're-
my memories of Diablo 1 multiplayer are very positive, and my recollection is that it was pretty convenient to connect up to BattleNets and look at available games and hop in and play co-op or not.
You play with strangers?
With strangers
Whoa.
on the internet. That's the one thing they tell you not to do.
Don't.
But I mean, it's such a blasphemous game.
Like, yes, mother, I'm
breaking
playing
the rules
I am
left and right.
playing the devil game with strangers on the internet.
Well, you're killing the devil.
Don't
Again,
worry, I'm 11 now. I'm safe to go on the internet.
Again, this
unsupervised.
this is a very pro-Christian game. We're here to slay the heathens and goatmen.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, but what about the ladies with huge jugs on like level 15?
The succubus? Yeah.
Well, it's a mature game, and
They keep those to the later levels so you can mature a little bit.
You have to be at
Later.
least 12 to get to that level.
make sure you've come of age before you encounter the hardcore nudity present in this game, which was how you're describing Mech Warrior, like, oh, your memory is like it was so much more accurate. When I saw the succubus enemies, I was like, yo, I thought this was going to be way more pixelated, but like this is
Did it
pretty
awaken something in
explicit.
you?
It's not explicit. I mean, they're covered.
They are
They
not.
are not.
Wait, really?
They are
just assumed that was a part-
absolutely not.
I thought I was a part of the corset or something. But now let's see here. Let's zoom in on some succubi nipples. Let's see what we got here.
Yeah, this is what people are tuning into the podcast. They're
And-
skipping ahead in the timestamp.
I mean,
Sorry,
it
what are
is
they talking
hard.
about?
So the artwork for this game is it's an isometric game. Everything's broken down into sprite work. Most
My
of the
assumption
stuff
is that single black pixel is her nipple, but it could be something else. It is only one pixel.
They're pasties, as
That's what I had
the-
assumed.
is
as the
oh yeah, I
Lord would have
forgot about
intended.
that inventory slot, the pasty slot.
Zooming,
But of course,
enhancing.
you've got you've got
AI
these 3D
up-res.
models that they're then converting into a series of sprites for the actual game. I wish we had access to those original 3D models, especially for this enemy, because I bet they are a sight to behold. Because I imagine they're probably pretty rudimentary, similar to what we see in the intro cinematic. And unlike that one game that we covered, what was the name of that PlayStation game we covered with the tower and the Pokemon stuff?
Azure Dreams.
Azure Dreams. Unlike Azure Dreams, the translation from the 3D models into the sprite work is quite nice in this game. So what's the verdict? What's the nipple verdict?
Yeah, no, definitely nipples. Now that I've zoomed in, and also just like the artwork of like what this thing is clearly a topless a woman. So yeah, it seems like that was the direction they wanted to go.
So yeah, there's blood and butts and boobs and breastplates and just all sorts of blasphemy happening in this game, which is was pretty unheard of, quite the shock
Nine-year-olds are
value.
learning a lot here, particularly about spreadsheet optimizations.
Let's just say,
loot drop tables.
I'm trying to find pictures of Diablo Succubus online, and I clicked on an image, and it did say that I had to verify my age to view this content. So I'm going to say that's all you need to know.
Wonder if the Lord of Terror himself is also naked. Anyway, you jump into a single player or multiplayer instance, and boom, you are in the game. None of this futzing around with setting all of your attributes and what god do you pray to, and are you a half orc or a demi elf or any of that nonsense. I guess, well, you have to pick your starting class, and you have the options of warrior, rogue, or sorcerer. That's it. Back in the day, we didn't have all these fancy options of what kind of like weird elf twink you wanted to be, or what kind of MacGyver tinkerer and all these other things. But it was a simpler time. And we just didn't have the RAM. We didn't have the RAM and storage space for all these other character classes. You had melee or ranged or the other ranged class. And I think there's probably a reason why there's only one melee class. But you click, you give them some sort of wacky name, and bam, you're in. That Tristram music just right in your face. Iconic, very classic. Probably one of the best town themes in any game, regardless of ones that we've covered on this podcast.
Oh yeah.
Which is good because you're gonna be coming back here a fuckload and listening to that opening guitar strum.
You're going to be
Bring-
walking extremely slowly. Your little warrior is going to be tapping Fred Flintstone, his little tippy toes, as slowly as possible from the town portal back to the town. Now unless you're playing De-Evolution X, which has fortunately sprint in town. But it's a good theme. It's a great atmosphere. You thought that opening cinematic was good. This town is great.
What's up? I mean, it's fine. It's fine at best. But this is clearly an MVP. And
The
I'll
man
say
over here is saying it's
absolutely the minimum of what you could want out of it.
Will, name 3 towns from any game, iconic towns.
Pilot Town.
Yeah, Viridian, Saffron.
Midgard.
I mean, I guess it's maybe a little rudimentary by today's standards, but it's stylized, and you've got cool visuals, and you've got a host of characters fully voiced, decent voice acting.
Yeah, the fully voiced
Of course, the
characters
music
is different. Yeah.
Well, this is also critically something that we see as like a major staple from early roguelike games, which stay tuned next year is maybe a wet your whistle moment. But things like the OG Rogue did not have a central hub town, but all of like its major the major roguelikes kind of did. So that like one of the first forks of it in 83 was Moria, which is like, what if Rogue but Lord of the Rings? And that starts you off in this very Diablo looking like town hub where like here's like a hut and this person sells magic items or this person sells armor. See the same kind of thing in Angband, and I think Hack also. I don't know if NetHack does it, but more on that later for sure. But yeah, like, I mean, Andrew, you mentioned Azure Dreams earlier. That's like another kind of staple. You have your kind of hub world town that you're coming back to for merchants and things like that. And we are blessed with the first appearance of one Cain the Elder, or Deckard Cain, who has quite a treasure in that Herodric cube. You have Farnham the Drunk, you got Adria the Witch, the Innkeeper, whose name I forgot, the other guy, there's Pepin the Healer, Blacksmith Man.
Griswold, right?
Griswold, of course.
Yes, Griswold.
Which, if you like Griswold, hey, look, don't get attached. Because in the second game, you got to put zombie Griswold out of his misery. And not just once, because you're going to be doing Tristram runs for probably a while. Anyway.
Hold on, before we get back, I have found the original Diablo manual, and it does indeed tell you what right click, left click, and double click mean.
Yo,
which is it teaches you. It's like double click is clicking twice quickly.
Thank God we had someone.
There you go.
I thought you were gonna say like there's some kind of flavor or story, like the left hand is the path of chaos or whatever. Right hand.
It's like it's defining what the idea of a class is. Like, oh man, you forget that these are things that we had to learn. Like, oh, double click means you have to click twice, but pretty quickly in a row. Something that my older coworkers don't always know. Anyway, sorry. Continue with your story about the hubtown and putting down Tristram.
Yeah,
Griswold.
And there's a very important NPC laying in a puddle of blood outside of the cathedral.
But crucially,
Sometimes.
yes, not all the time. Uh, so one big thing about this game is random quests, where in I guess like other RPGs of the time, it was like, oh, this is like a game you'll fire up, and you're gonna go through like well, maybe Baldur's Gate's a bad example, but like some you're going through like a linear series of quests. You're gonna go and do this thing, then you're gonna go and do that thing. And it's the same game every time, and that's fine. There's plenty of things to experience and play with. But what if some of those quests didn't exist on this particular playthrough? And we take it for granted now, but this was, I guess, like, what? Like, you could have quests that didn't happen? Um, and so as you meander up to the town cathedral at the top, which just like such great moody vibes from it, but like right outside there's just this dude in a big pile of blood who's like, please, you must avenge my family. And like even the voice acting, I would say like for 30-year-old voice acting, still pretty good. But he'll give you talk to him, and if you're like me, you'll just kind of fast forward through most of the dialogue. But he'll tell you that there's some demonic force inside the cathedral called the Butcher has killed so many people, and you got to go and put a stop to him. And this will add a little item to your quest log in the bottom left. But sometimes you won't have that. Like you'll boot up a game and there won't be that dude there. There will be some other quest for you to do. Like if the who is it? Is it an inn that Ogden has when some goblin
Right.
ran off with his sign or something?
Yeah, they stole the sign. Of course, they stole the sign.
So
Yeah, pretty important stuff. Obviously, no, I think there's some mention of it having like a magical ward on it. It's very important to have the sign, or else the inn may be a danger. Or you got to go fight the Skeleton King, or you got to go and purge the well that's been poisoned by demonic magic,
or you might have to go and find a magic rock.
Oh yeah, the
Very
magic
important.
rock. Yeah, that's a really important one.
Well, that's like a comet, right? Which is interesting. Yeah, it's like this whole thing about like, oh, this rock fell from the sky, from the heavens, like, which later is like picked up as like a major story point in later Diablo games, which I thought was kind of interesting. Yeah, and golly, it must have been kind of tough some days for the devs to be like putting all their blood, sweat, and tears, all this work into these quests, just to know that some players aren't even going to see this. But of course, I guess they didn't have to worry about that, because when the game came out, it was so popular. People were, playing through multiple times and having interesting, meaningful randomization that I often talk about, and really making each run feel unique. But bottom line, Scott, as you were saying, whoever you talk to, whether it's a guy in a pile of blood or Griswold or the various different NPCs, they explain to you in short order, per the goals of the development team, like quickly they set up the stakes, like, hey, there is a great evil that has awakened under this town in the cathedral. You, hero, you have returned to Tristram. You need to go deliver us from this evil.
And in classic Diablo fashion, you enter the main dungeon, and all of your multiplayer friends run off ahead of you and start sprinting around, knocking monsters down. You're like, hey, wait a minute, where did everyone go? Where's
I don't know
my
what
main-
you're
Or are
talking
you on? Wait a minute. Oh, which town portal we going through?
That's
You
right.
hit the
That's
wrong
right.
one and you get mauled by
Now, of
the
course, you
demons that are on
descend
his
down
head.
through stairs. Classic roguelike, traditional roguelike tradition of going downstairs. No other games have stairs, hardly.
No, none of them. Diablo famously the only game with stairs.
They have different kinds of stairs too. Sometimes they're
Bone
round.
stairs?
Sometimes they're
Sometimes stone
Blood
stairs.
stairs.
Yeah, each
And
biome, different
Don't
stair
forget,
design.
you got to recast all your stuff after you go down the stairs, otherwise it doesn't apply to you anymore.
Yes, that is an important thing to know if you're a very, very squishy sorceress.
But your first four floors are the cathedral.
4 floors of horrors. Yes,
Four,
you have
four,
to deal
four,
with,
four.
because as soon as it loads up, this Tristram music, awesome. The catacomb music, or pardon me, the first like couple levels of music is kind of bordering on like Halloween mixtape, like spooky dungeon. It's good, but just not quite as good.
Mm-hmm. And you're running around this huge labyrinth that is randomly generated but once you've explored it, it's set, um, which is the very hack-like style, not Angband-like style, which again maybe we'll come to next year. So the you explore a floor and it's set, and you can come back up to the previous floors, or you can use one of your very generous town portal spells to jump back all the way up to the very top. But you might be encountering the Skeleton King, or the famous, maybe one of the most famous quests in this game on level 2 out of 14 total is the Butcher, where again, like, this game's atmosphere is great, where like you're walking around, there's like these dank, depraved, like, cathedral halls with skeletons, hundreds of skeletons running around, that you are just basically bump attacking into, more or less.
Wait, hold on. I think you mean hacking and slashing.
Yeah. Oh, yes, of course.
Per the Berlin interpretation
How could I get that so wrong?
of roguelikes.
And you might be on level 2, walking around, and you see this one room that looks like it's this isometric view. You can kind of see over the roof into other rooms. And if you look over the roof into this one room, you see just like
In the shadows,
flayed corpses and blood and bone. Oh yes. In this room, you go and open the door, and some impish pig man in a butcher smock comes out and says, what does he say? What's everyone's best
I
impression?
believe he says, fresh meat.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else want to give that a go?
Something about vegetable bad, meat good. Oh no, wrong one.
That was
Sorry.
Diablo 3 where he said. I don't actually remember what he said in Diablo 1 though.
Terrifying.
I think it was probably what.
And he's not impish. He's like an ogre. He's a big.
I don't
boy,
think he's in Diablo 2.
which is ridiculous.
He's in Diablo 2. He's in the
Yeah, we gotta do some butcher runs. No, I felt like we said Mephisto runs. That sounds like something.
Butcher
we
was in the first act in Diablo 2. He was in the cathedral part of Diablo 2.
I am seeing
I don't know
Blizzard
if I
Forum,
remember that.
Diablo 2's cut content, The Butcher.
No, he's definitely in Diablo 2.
Robert was probably playing with like all the cut content enabled with like maximum, like
Oh, wait, no,
succubus
never mind.
jugs and like
It's in the end. It's where you go down to the first fight on Dariel. On the top floor, there's like you're in a church basically, and then he's
See-
in that. I think he's like one level down. But he's
Ladies
in
and gentlemen,
that.
this is why Robert's on the podcast today, because he could tell you where the Butcher is in
I
Diablo
played too
2.
much Diablo 2 back in the day. That's how I learned not to trust internet strangers, because they stole my stuff.
Yeah,
They were
yeah,
gonna they're
and-
gonna help me dupe it, and they stole it from me. So never trust
I mean,
people on
that
the
is
internet.
a rite of passage. Like, that's...
That's it's like
That's
RuneScape
dreadful.
when they lure you out into the wilderness.
Oh.
I don't know
Trust
if you
no
guys did
one.
that one, but
Yeah.
And but all this to say, like many gamers have memories of this being a rather terrifying experience of exploring, which is again exploration, part of the Berlin interpretation.
No one cares
And
about
you
Berlin.
open this door, like looks like at most any other door you've been going through at this point, and out charges this boss monster. He emerges from his abattoir full of horribly mangled corpses, and you see the fate that awaits you if you don't best him in combat. And luckily, he's a tough enough guy that you can critically in the single player, reload your saves. So if you get murdered by him the first time, okay, well maybe I'll come back to this fight, a little bit later, because he is gated off by that door, thankfully.
But yeah, he comes, this half pig, half man, just comes like flying out the door with a butcher cleaver like the size of your torso. Fresh meat. And it just goes like, and like at the time, if like level 2, that's gonna do like 25% of your health with each thwack if he lands it. But yeah, like you can come back to him later, and then you there was one time, what was it? In one of our, I think it was my multiplayer warrior character, lost all my items. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go and grind some more stuff. Opened up a world, came to level 2, and I don't know, it was maybe like level 16 or 17. Came to the butcher, and I just like pummeled him with bare fists. He's like, fresh meat, and I'm just like,
You're
bam,
the
bam,
fresh
bam,
meat.
Just
Yeah,
grab like
I think Will and I were playing together, and we ran into him. We weren't very high level, and we ended up just running off into different corners of the level as he was hunting us down, and he just slaughtered us. And then we played him I don't know. We leveled up a bit afterwards, and then we came back and just like killing him was very easy.
I think we
But I loved
abused.
him.
Did we abuse the door dynamic where we just like sat in front of the door so he like where his number counted for nothing and we just sat there and
I think the first time we fought him, I tried to escape. My character couldn't figure out how to like escape through the door, and just walked around and got stuck and died.
yeah, the pathfinding, if we're gonna air some grievances here, pathfinding is absolute dog shit in this game. But I understand that, I don't know what kind of pathing algorithm they were using, and they were limited very much by compute at the time. But yeah, if anyone just stood in a doorway, then suddenly you couldn't figure out how to get through that doorway. And if you try to click on the other side, you'd be completely confused. You just couldn't do it.
I think another fun fact about this game's development, I think the lead programmer David Brevik at the time, this was his first ever C programming project at all. Period. I think
Nice.
everything else that he had built in assembly, but he was like, "This is the first thing I'm building in C," and he's just like, "I maybe this will work." And like watching some of the videos of like how they did the development of it, it was very clear that like this was highly experimental technology at the time. This was like
He
the
was
pinnacle.
vibe coding it, but he didn't have AI to help him.
Yes, he had books on C, which, as was the style at the time, were the large language models that, imagine having to like be a high level enough to right click on a book to learn it, to learn how to program in C. But yeah, Butcher, iconic, classic, rite of passage for any 10-year-old to open up a door and this blood-covered monster comes out with a cleaver and cuts you down in 2 swipes. Um,
And it's so simple, it's so effective. And then you compare that to the Diablo 3 butcher fight, which is just this Looney Tunes ass, like just really over the top gaudy situation that is just uncalled for. But anyway, we're here to talk about Diablo 1. Indeed. Yeah. And of course, there's all those other iconic fights that we all remember from the rest of the game.
yeah, like the
What about the Goatmen? They're pretty good. No, yeah, I kind of joke. I kind of joke. There's lots of character
Honestly,
in
I feel
the
like
rest
the
of
fights
game.
that I remember are like big fight from playing almost exclusively multiplayer with you guys. Uh, they weren't fights that we won; it's fights that we lost, and then the epic struggle to recover our gear.
oh yes,
Like,
like our battle with who's it, Skeleton King on like the first couple floors
He
or
was on the
something.
third floor. Yeah, yeah.
Third floor.
And
I
we
tried to
couldn't,
lure him
even with all
away.
four, like 3 or 4 of us around him, we couldn't out DPS his health regeneration. And we didn't know at the
Yeah.
time that he was like weak to like blunt things. And so we're all just sitting there whacking on him. And that's the thing, is like you can just sit there doing that for as long as your health potions will allow you, which is like that's another huge dynamic in this game, is how fast you chug these potions. That's why I was the health potion of guzzling. But yeah, it was not it wasn't very exciting for me because you're just kind of sitting there clicking on him and they're all crowded around him and he's just not dying.
I guess also for our gentle listeners' benefit, we had the Galaxy Brain strategy to run 3 warriors simultaneously, with Colin being our only ranged attacker. Whenever he would swap out with Andrew, who is our other only ranged attacker.
There's a reason here. I think a very strong reason, and that's because we start the game out as a mage. Like you can go as a warrior, you can go to Pepin and get free life essentially. But as a mage, until we like enabled that setting to get free mana, you just are constantly like out of mana potions, and it's like, well, you can spend all of your money on getting more mana potions, and so it just felt like
Yeah.
such a negative experience early on to be a sorcerer.
I feel like that's like some of the old D&D philosophy of like magic is limited and spellcasters are absurdly weak when they're low level. You hear about people talk about D&D like first edition and they'd be like, yeah, the wizard will just die and you just have like a backup wizard, so it'd be like, you get a couple wizards in and then eventually you get one that levels up to high enough that they can survive.
Yeah, and crucially in this game, I feel like, again, we're speaking with like 30 years of look back on it. And I don't think at the time they really had a plan for like build lock-in or builds specifically, but in this case, it does seem as though the game wants you to play flexibly instead of being like build locked into a certain kind of archetype. So when I was picking my Like Will had picked a warrior, Robert had picked a warrior. So of course, my warrior, which I creatively titled Morier, um, I was like, oh, well, I'm just going to build him as just a pure tank. No, like as low intelligence, thick brow, the lowest brow I could possibly invest in. None of this magic bullshit. Just pure strength, pure vitality. It works in Dark Souls games. It should work here. And boy, was I wrong because wow, like you could probably get away with that through the first couple biomes in this game, but this game's difficulty curve like punches you in the mouth pretty badly later of like, no, you're not ready to take on the Lord of Terror. What do you think you're doing? You don't have any spells. What do you like? Um, and so I think like this game kind of incentivizes you to play very broad spectrum. So um, there's definitely like an incentive as a hack and slash melee warrior to invest in magic, to get magic spells and make those powerful. Because if you're just like, I'm just gonna find a big sword and smack stuff, like no, that's not gonna cut it as all the way to the end game.
Yeah, that's what we found. I mean, Will and I, we defeated Diablo. However, I use we very loosely because it was it was pretty much Will, because he had all the spells. I so as we all know, I have a small baby, and to find time to play video games, you really have to find a game that you can play with a single hand while you hold the baby. And the warrior was perfect because you could just like left click on the bad guys as you're holding this baby with the other hand. And so all I could do was just left click on a lot of the demons most of the time. Meanwhile, Will's got all these spells. He's like flame walling people and stone cursing them so they can't escape. Because a lot of these enemies, like they run as fast as your character does. So if you need to hunt down a ton of archers, like you're just like, okay, I'll follow you across the level and then I'll hit you one time and you'll move in somewhere else. And then you're getting shot by like 5,000 other characters. So it's really hard to do even with a warrior without getting spells.
I remember when the first time we made it to the catacombs, which is the first biome after the cathedral on floor 5 of this dungeon. It was like Saving Private Ryan beach scene of arrows flying at us down the hallways from these goat archers of just like thousands of arrows, and like we're already like we have no spells. We're just like big dumb like ape warriors running down the hallway taking all these arrows, and poor Colin is like sitting in the back like trying to cast spells, and like
There'll be
our
like
numbers.
one stray arrow comes and it's like, well, I died.
Yeah.
Also, I was when that was this was like the first time we were all playing together, and you guys were like 5 levels ahead of me. So I really was. I was at level like 4, like 14 hit points or something.
Also in classic Diablo fashion of oh yeah, well I'll just run ahead for 5 hours and grind some loot for you and then drop some loot and
Yeah.
hopefully you'll meet the level requirement for it.
There was a lot of that for sure.
Yeah, I was like so decked out. It was like, well, I've got infinite magic. So yeah, drop all of your magic books for me. I won't be able to cast them more than like 3 times, but
It's and what I and I don't know if this is a to its benefit or not, but like we can talk about Griswold and like the dynamic of rolling for new loot essentially. And like I mean we're talking about how we're giving loot to folks, and so the way that you would accumulate that is either through the dungeon getting random stuff, or there's this ability in this game every time you go and see the blacksmith or the witch, their items are completely refreshed. And so you could just do this thing where you exit the game, start a new game, go in, talk to this guy, see his loot, exit the game, start a new game, go, and so just do that on repeat. And so as you're doing that, you're like, oh yeah, maybe someone will need this kind of piece of loot here or this kind of piece of loot. And so it's really easy to. Well, I shouldn't say easy. It's really mindless if you're like watching Seinfeld or you got some Trek on and you're just like restarting games and just like, basically grinding for the best loot. I don't know if that's fun, but it was something to do, you know.
Yeah, you got your VHS player going with your Seinfeld tapes or your TNG tapes. And on your other CRT TV or CRT monitor, you got Diablo going. You're just like click, 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 click. This game is a very cautionary tale about dopamine addiction and gambling addiction. I feel like to some degree.
There's only actually one gambling element, and that's with the Wort, because that's the only one you use money to pay for a chance. All the other chances you get are not using money to do it.
I
Well,
think
you're
that
using-
it's very easy to gamble without there being money involved.
Well, I'm just saying, technically speaking, because technicalities are very important when we talk about gambling and like this industry in general.
I
You're
mean,
gambling your
loot
soul
boxes
stone.
loot boxes are gambling, and this is just loot boxes in
Wait,
more
wait, where's the loot box though? If it's not word.
uh just random drops. They're not loot boxes exactly, but it's like, all right, I'm gonna go fight this guy, and he's gonna drop something. Who knows what it could be? Could be good. Probably won't be,
Sure,
but could
sure.
be.
This game only has a few purely pure gambling based mechanics, but the clicking and that connection with the dopamine hits
It's a
is
Skinner's
very
box. That's what it
strong
really is.
and
Yeah.
lives large throughout the gameplay, and every second of combat is pretty. It hits pretty good.
Then you hear that
Just click,
that
click,
magic
click, and
ring drop, and it ding, and you're like, oh my
Yeah,
god,
yeah,
what could it
exactly.
be? It could be anything.
It's the
It probably isn't, but it could be.
Diablo 1 has quite the flow state that is meditative, as meditative as it is addictive.
Yeah, it's
will
nice
say.
and mindless. That was the joy of the Diablo one, is I didn't have to think at all. Occasionally my character would level up, I'd like add 5 stats, and then I'd find the next enemy and hold down the click button on them. Left click, mind you, and I didn't double click. It was just a single click.
Well, we didn't know how to double click them.
The manual told me. I read the manual.
Well, levels 5 through 8 are the catacombs, and like we kind of talked about, goat archers, big like rhino men that like bulldoze you out of the shadows. Very dark, much more I guess like convoluted like dungeon layouts. Like I guess a lot more.
But those guys were in the horn guys were in the level below that, right?
I thought they showed up also in like the final level of.
They can
I
be
thought they
in
were in
both.
like I thought they were in like the lava zone.
Oh no, I'm
No
thinking. Okay,
spoilers.
yeah, I'm thinking of the caves. That's what I'm thinking of.
But in the catacombs had the guys who would like disappear and then like reappear, and they were very annoying because you hit them once, they'd run away, and then another one would come at you.
They
They're like
are very annoying until you kill them, and every time, ooh, that head pops off,
That's true. It's
and you
very
get
sad.
that big old geyser of blood flying, and y'all. To just clarify, this is an isometric game. Each character can be facing a total of 8 directions. This death animation is in all 8 directions. You can see it from each beautiful angle, and he makes like a little noise as like his body collapses as the head flies off, and like there's so much of that great detail that that reinforcement of the clicking and the clacking, and it feels great to just be hacking and slashing and going through these hordes of monsters, like no other game had really done at the time.
Yeah, and despite there not being like really that many different monsters in the game, like you could have fooled me into thinking that there were, because like there's just a ton of them. They hit really hard. They all like look very different from each other. And like yeah, like they all have kind of like different like I was about to say AI, but maybe it's not quite that advanced, but like you know
Behavior.
yeah, like when you see a big pack of skeletons, you kind of have an idea of how to engage them versus a big pack of goatmen. Or like you turn around the corner and there's these giant winged balrogs, and you're like, okay, like I got to think about how to approach these very differently. And they all look really great. Like they all have that kind of like mid 90s like GIF looking like low res likeness to them that just like feels very scary even just to kind of look at from a 30-year on perspective. Like all the monster design is very good, especially like when they're just like very concealed in the shadows and you'll just kind of like get a little glimpse and you're like, what the fuck was that? And then it just kind of comes skittering out of the corner at you. Yeah, catacombs, very very dark, very tight corners, very good for probably the ranged classes, because yeah, when our warriors are trying to run up to the goatmen, they run away at the exact same speed that you run at them, and you have to wait for them to stop before you can get one hit in, and then you're in this endless chase mode. Um, but oh, and this is where you get your first shortcut. So in multiplayer, this is I think kind of a genius idea of like, hey, like you start up a new multiplayer game, boom, all the shortcuts are open, asterisk, available to you, contingent on some level requirements. So that way you can just be like, oh, well, I'm already this level. I'm not going to need to grind through the first 7 floors of the game. I'm just going to go boom right immediately into the catacombs or the caverns or hell. Um, but this was something nice. You know, you have to meet a minimum threshold. But in single player, like I think you have to get down to a certain level within each of these biomes, like the catacombs and caverns in hell, in order to unlock a shortcut to the surface. Is that right?
We
Yeah,
all did
we'll
I
say
never
single
actually
player,
played
I
the single
think.
player.
That sounds correct.
Well, I played a lot of the single player on the Steam Deck. Speaking of controller inputs,
Steam
um,
Deck Corner. Robert, we always have to go pay a visit to Steam Deck Corner. Previously, it was Scott's Steam Deck, literal,
His
but
Steam
we all
Deck,
know what
but then
happened to
then a
that.
tree crashed upon
Um,
it, and now he doesn't have.
Indeed, randomly, some
uh,
random trees fell,
It
rocks
was
fell.
procedurally generated into his deck.
But no, I'm actually delighted to hear about how this game plays on Steam. What's the or on the Steam Deck rather? That's wild.
yeah, like I think like it actually plays surprisingly well. The controls are a little janky to work with at first, but what was it? I'm just looking through the other things that the Devolution X team supports. So like Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, like Nintendo 3DS, like yeah, like it would totally work on that because like you basically just have like a one button like auto attack where it's like if melee like attack nearby or ranged like auto attack whoever like the nearest enemy is.
Uh,
And it works really well. Like I was playing the rogue class and just like yeah, like lazily sitting on the couch, just like holding down the B button and like letting all the arrows fly, and just like scratching my ass and just being like, yeah, okay, this is a perfectly fun experience. Um, and yeah, I think like the again like the Devolution X like software allowing that to be a thing is like that felt actually like pretty good from a single player experience. But yeah, like we mostly played multiplayer. I think that's kind of like as equal a draw here, I think, as the single player. But for us, at least us like compulsive uh Diablo addicts, like we've played through basically all of them. Like I didn't play Diablo 4 at all, but I think everyone else here has played Diablo 4, right?
no,
Yes.
I
Yes.
went the way of I walked the path of the exile.
Actually, I will say that my Diablo 4 experience almost exactly mirrored my Diablo 1 experience, which is Will and Robert started playing a little before I did. I tried to join them. I never quite caught up, and then they beat the game during a week where I was busy with work, and then I didn't finish
And
it.
what's the lesson learned here, Colin? Don't be busy with work. God
Don't play
damn.
Diablo.
Click, 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 click.
I just need one more rift,
So
man. One more greater rift.
Diablo 4 has horses in it. Is that right?
It also says yes a lot, which was pretty good. I'm just missing that in Diablo 1.
That is a shame. That is a
Yeah,
shame.
I
you
really
did have
can't
mounts there,
remember.
didn't you?
Aren't
I
there like
don't.
mounts or something?
It was very forgettable, yeah, right. I mean, Diablo 2 kind of struck at the time when your child imagination was just in full swing and you have that nostalgia from playing because Diablo 2 was great. So every Diablo that came afterwards is like you can't really compare it because Diablo 2 was just in your mind it was so great and all our good childhood memories were associated with Diablo 2.
It's
Well,
like
it also
Morrowind,
yeah,
where
Morrowind, but
obviously the best of them,
Diablo also
probably.
introduced mechanics though that Diablo 1 didn't, or Diablo 2 had the I think the most key thing was instead of like a linear progression path of just like here's 5 points, put them into these 4 attributes. It was like do you want to go bone spear or do you want to go, there's actually a forking path where you can choose different upgrades. And that was like, oh my goodness, I can play through it one time like this and then another time like this, and you get a completely different style. And so that
Yeah,
really was,
I
I think,
was
a
I
huge
was
part of it.
I was definitely feeling that that system was missing that
Mhm.
emptiness of like, well, I'm playing a rogue. It'd be cool if I could also have some spell-like effects. Because critically in Diablo 2, even if you're not playing, if you're not playing, even though you're not playing the necromancer or the druid or the sorceress, like even the martial classes have like fancy abilities where you're throwing hammers and
And they're cooldown, right? Like we didn't have any
shooting
cooldowns.
multi-shot and stuff and what have you. So
Oh
that's
yeah, this game doesn't have any cooldowns.
No,
Yeah, that
it
feels
is.
like
It
the
just
other
got
really
the
big
magic.
We also did
magic.
play it on fast mode instead of normal speed because we just didn't have the patience. It was too slow on normal, so we bumped it up to fast.
Although crucially, there are two faster speeds available from the Devolution X software that are almost like comically and
No, that's
maniacally
too
fast.
fast.
Yeah, exactly. I think I tried playing it like because in StarCraft, I'm just like, yep, like fastest is clearly the only way that you can play it. So I'm like, that should apply here, right? I didn't realize that like this was not a setting from the original game.
Yeah. I am also just discovering this for the first time. Yikes.
Booted up in fastest, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's no like what? Like you go down one floor and the skeletons are just like instantaneously surrounded you and you're dead.
Well, I mean, like,
Um,
I mean, to be fair, if you are at like I mean, like, you can be at any level in the game and find like the equivalent, like, oh, this is a hard level, like a hard floor, and then just go like down a floor or two, and then suddenly nothing can kill you really. And
Sure.
so going on fastest, then very viable.
Yeah, and I imagine if you have like it's got to be a speedrunner's dream of just like I've got all the keybinds all set. I already know how to like teleport, like uh flame wall, teleport, and then I'm done with the floor.
That would
Kind of
be an
thing.
interesting thing for like speedrunning games where it's like you're allowed to set it as however fast you want. So you have to like try and figure out exactly how fast you want the game speed to be going.
Like faster than the human brain can comprehend.
Yeah, it's like sure you could play it at 500x speed, but good luck.
So bumming around the catacombs, you might get some more side quests, like the magic rock that we talked about. You might
Going to
encounter
the bone chamber.
yeah, the
Chamber of
Chamber of
Bone.
Bone. I got a major jump scare when there was some like altar that had like a tome on it. I'm like, oh, what's this? Click, and then almost seemingly out of nowhere, the voice actor from Aldaris from the StarCraft series comes on, and just in his Protoss voice, where I'm just like, what the hell game am I playing? Uh, like a Protoss advisor is talking about the Chamber of Bone. Famously, the voice actor for the warrior class is one of the major voice actors from the Protoss faction in
You
StarCraft.
must construct additional bones.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
He's also the
right.
voice Andrew of Colonel Campbell from the Metal Gear Solid series as well.
Oh yeah. Of course. Yeah, there's these lore drops around the game, which is kind of interesting, kind of an early example and like a good execution of that style, where there are these pedestals with these tomes on them. You go up and you get this awesome reading of like
What?
some really metal sounding
No, Andrew.
history.
This is a I mean, show don't tell is the best way to do this. Is
Well, the game is
telling
already
by
showing you
telling.
so much. They're like, how else can we possibly?
Well, yeah, you skip it if it's not like if it's not, if it's lore that you have to like read in a long document or listen to. No, cut that crap out.
But what if it was someone with a very soothing voice saying, "Beyond the Hall of Heroes lies the
I'm already
Chamber
bored.
of
What?
Bone."
No, skip.
Skip.
I think
Maybe
this is
we
why
shouldn't play
Baldur's
Cable.
Gate 3 didn't do it for you too.
Outrageous.
And that's why
Not too
Hard
much
Reset
listening.
has no like basically no narrative whatsoever.
Does the jazz you listen to have any
Slay the
vocals
Spire.
in it? Come
No,
on,
no, it does not.
All
Slay the
right,
Spire has as much
man.
narrative as you might need. It's got a whale in the beginning, and it says climb the fucking stairs.
Yeah,
So
well, that's
speaks
why
the
Will
Lord of
doesn't like
Terror.
this game. Is because it's this is the antithesis of Slay the Spire. You're going down as opposed
Well, I
to
mean,
going up.
Downfall is also that's the
Oh shoot, yeah, I guess you're right. Never mind.
But all
That's
this,
but-
this is optional. None of this is like, oh, you must read like this 20-page like Metal Gear Solid narrative in order to progress down to the next level. It's very
Oh,
optional.
these
You
are
can
like
just-
30 seconds long, and it's a fun listen, and the music's going, and you got the spooky lighting and everything. I think it
I
helps.
think I did one
add-
quest the entire
If you
time.
want to read more, you
additive.
just go read the 79-page manual that came with the game.
Nah, that just talks about double clicking.
No,
Scott,
it
I
talks
thought you
about
were
the
going to
darkening of
mention.
Tristram, the absence of prying advisors and inquisitive priests left Diablo free to assume total control over the king's battered soul. Like
it's
this
just,
thing,
it's just a
like
good versus evil though. That's so boring.
this thing has like, sorry, I can't get over this manual. It's got like 50 pages of lore in it.
We used
It's
to have manuals. We used to be a
book.
real country. We used to have game manuals. Scott, there's also a optional potential, yeah, a event that you aren't guaranteed to run into. There's like this, there's a room that has a like this mage in it, this NPC who is neutral to you. And if you like walk in the room and he starts talking to you and he's like, "Leave me alone, I'm doing my arcane research. Here, take this, random spell book or scroll and get out of here." And now, of course, you've been playing the game for like hours at this point, and you are a loot goblin. So, of course, you start clicking on the various things in the room, and one of them is a bookcase. And as soon as you do that, the formerly neutral spellcaster is now aggroed to you, and it's like, "How dare you interrupt me!" And it has the battle. It's just this lovely little, tongue-in-cheek meta joke on the player, because it's like, well, we knew you were gonna go after that loot.
I mean, I feel like I would have a similar reaction if some warrior came into my door here chugging a whole bunch of health potions and just started like ripping the books off of my bookshelves.
100%.
Yeah, but the devil himself doesn't live in your basement.
Doesn't he though? I mean, I feel like most basements.
No.
After the catacombs, you come to the caverns, which are much more wide open. This has a level 13 shortcut requirement and is floors 9 through 12. Much
And to
bigger...
be clear, that you might think caverns, that's boring. Don't worry. There's lava. There are picket fences.
Yes, and also Scott's
chests.
calling them floors, but they are in fact called levels.
Yes, not to be confused with your character. When you get enough XP, gains floors. Sorry, levels. That would be too confusing if I used parlance that was the same thing.
Yeah, no excuse for them. That's actually bad game design there. Like,
oh, but it was 30 years ago. It was this little company called Blizzard. You never.
They were directly pulling from roguelikes that had invented the idea of floors and levels, and also D&D.
It was a simpler time. Caverns also, yeah. So we have lava that kind of like illuminates the room for you, which is quite nice, and then you can see all the succubi that are running around and shooting. I don't know, like giant like stars at you that explode. There are winged balrogs that are just big muscle winged demons. The titular rhino men that come flying out of the shadows and bulldoze you. All sorts of terrible nightmares down there. And I feel like this is kind of like, was this our sort of like main loot grinding floor? Because the next biome of hell was just so like beyond our grasp at the time.
So we did a few runs.
Yeah.
In the caves, the caverns.
Definitely a more forgiving floor navigation system than in Hell, but yeah, I feel like Caverns is where it just sort of felt like, all right, this is where we need to gear up to get to Hell. Screw the side quests at this point, because when you come down to the Hell level, like even just like navigating the stairs, it felt like a supreme challenge of like these weird like fleshy bone things that kind of look like stairs, but not really, and you can only click on like a very specific part of it to go
that was
up and
really
down.
that was bullshit. I don't know how many times we died because there's like the skeletons and bone staircase, and you're like, I don't know where to click. Like, let me up, you fucking piece of shit. I'm dead.
Well, and the enemies also take priority, right, over where you click. So if you click and there happens to be an enemy who like walks in the way, I think it would target the enemy instead of actually moving you up the stairs that you would initially clicked on.
Which is why you can't get your gear when you drop all your gear and you're fighting dudes that are like trying to stop you from getting your gear back.
Flashbacks now.
God,
it's trying to save you from your own cowardice.
Yeah, I am a Diablo 1 apologist, but even I will admit these stairs in Hell are very bad. The hitboxes are rough. It's the only problem with the game.
Now, Andrew, when you were you were mostly playing solo, if I understand right. What was your Hell? Was your Hell experience
very
as
bad.
hellish as ours?
It was very bad. Much worse than my memory of playing this game when I was younger. The way that I don't know if this is, I think it's partially to do with this port, and it's partially to do with us playing multiplayer. But like the level scaling, the difficulty scaling is quite a bit different than like the 1.0 Diablo single player experience, because critically in Diablo 1 single player, there is no grinding. There are the levels that are generated and the enemies that occupy those levels, and that's it. Those enemies aren't respawning. There's no XP to farm. The best you can do is just explore fully, like in the Berlin interpretation, and find what is available to you. And my experience of playing this game back in the day was that like you just progressed, from floor 1 to floor, what is it, 18 or something, and you were more or less ready, so long as you had built your character halfway decent, and you hadn't invested poorly, and you hadn't like squandered your attribute points.
What happens if you died?
If you died, you could just load your game.
Which, if you have not saved in a while, is effectively permadeath. But if you're like me and you're saving every single 5 seconds because you're like, ain't no way I'm gonna relive that nightmare. Yeah, like I mean, your options are new game, load game, or exit, or like quit the application effectively.
But yeah, hell was really rough, and I died trying to get up some stairs, and I was not able in multiplayer to get back to retrieve my body and my gear.
And I almost kind of feel like that's a good punishing mechanism for multiplayer of like, don't go solo. Like in Diablo multiplayer, you have to move as a coordinated unit. You can't have
we
someone.
did that. We did that. We all went down. We got clobbered, and we aggroed the entire floor, and then we couldn't go downstairs and even teleport away to try and get our stuff.
That's because we didn't have any spells at the time. We were all dumb.
No, you couldn't cast a spell. I went down and I tried to phase immediately to like just try and lure them away. We couldn't do it. It was just down dead. No chance at all.
Yeah, the key was if you just run off into a corner, and before you're dead, you alt F4, and then you just rejoin the game, because there's no single host. We played on the 0 tier for the Devolution X stuff, so there was no like individual host, so anybody could quit whenever they wanted to and
or
rejoin,
get kicked.
And it was fine.
Constantly.
Or yeah, well, I'm sure we'll bring up the multiplayer funness that we had in a little bit, but I've always like I alt F4'd a lot of the time before I died, so I would lose all my stuff. I come back and I have like 3 hit points and talk to Pippin and then go back down again.
And when we were playing multiplayer, some of my the most fun memories I have is when we entered a floor that was above our pay grade, and we were all trying to exfiltrate ourselves. Like, quick, get to the town portal! Run!
Oh no, I've got 2 potions left. Oh no, I'm out of potions. And then you're just scrambling. Yeah, it's a panic.
Exactly. So it's not all bad, but it's mostly bad.
We must have spent what 20 minutes trying to retrieve our equipment from one of the hell floors that like you come down the stairs and there was just like a tidal wave of demons that just immediately surrounds you. And
there were 25 succubuses.
No, there were way more than that. I mean, I think we aggroed the entire floor.
50 jugs.
We ran away and then we aggroed more and then we pulled them back in the middle somehow.
Yeah. And crucially, all monsters in Diablo heal.
Oh my god, they're
very rapidly.
So we couldn't chip them down. That was for a while there. I was like,
man,
just chip them down. But like, wait, no, that one fireball I got off doesn't do long-term damage.
Yeah, I tried to. We had grown frustrated if we couldn't get our stuff back. So I was trying to use the old belt duping trick from the old Diablo one, where you could just like you drop an item and you close your inventory and you move away and you move back, and as you're grabbing the item, you're supposed to click on your belt, click like a healing potion thing on your belt, and it would turn the healing potion into the item you try to pick up. So people would like dupe gold and dupe whatever kind of armor you wanted. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna get all our stuff back. I tried it, I could never get it to work. And then during the course of this podcast, I went and looked up the fact that Devolution X had like resolved that duping issue a long time ago, and it's not a thing anymore in Diablo 1. So I was just trying something that didn't work.
Well, let me just go into my rankings and drop it another 7 points there. Yeah, I think like the loot grinding treadmill, like this was the first loot game, right? Like this was the first like looting, like workflow treadmill style game of like, you're running around. I think with the intent, at least in multiplayer.
I mean, it's first real time looting game. I mean, we are a roguelike podcast. Most roguelike games are loot games.
Sure, yeah. First real time like specifically with like the loot drops to like get a very kind of specific build that will like strength check like the last level, because it's not like throughout this game you are like, I was kind of fully expecting to be like, oh, well, I'll just be a dumb sword and board like lowbrow melee warrior guy with like maximum health and vitality, or like strength and vitality, and maybe I'll just come across an item that will like build synergize with that. And I came across a couple that kind of did, but it wasn't enough. Like I needed to spec out and like round off my character, where like it definitely did not feel like I could uh like see a build develop. It was more like I was kind of forced into,
Sword and
I
shield.
need, yeah, I need like all of the tools available with the spells and everything. Um, and particularly with like, and I guess like later Diablo games did this to a much more extreme degree, but like needing like, okay, I need like the set items, and I need like the legendary drops, and I need like all of the resistances and all of these things, like all these boxes to tick in order to just survive the 75 succubi shooting their missiles at me from across the map. Um, but yeah, hell, like you got the succubus, you got the mages who teleport
those
away
guys.
the second.
Stone Curse saved the day on that one.
Yeah,
who are
until-
the,
But
who are the
we'll use that.
knights?
Oh, the
What are-
Steel Lords and stuff.
The
Yeah,
yo, those guys are dope, but they got to calm down with that death animation. They
they just turn into a whirling dervish or something like that.
yeah, it's like so huge and like it's super high up in the air, like spinning around, like playing this like crazy sound effect as they spin and disappear. And I mean, it's just like, whoa, okay. Whereas I think the succubuses, don't they just kind of like fall over?
They're like, ah! They just flop over dead. They were so annoying, but I got a flail that had like the fastest attack speed, and it gave me a plus 80% chance to hit, I think. So once you always hit them, then they're just kind of like stun locked and they can't escape. But before that, you hit them once, and they're like, they run away, and you hit them again, and they run away, and you hit them again. They maybe finally die if they haven't healed already by then.
And you were highlighting something that I think is critical here, Robert. That when you get that meaningful loot upgrade, you find yourself that new armor, you find yourself that new weapon. It feels great. And I mean that's obviously common throughout gaming, but Diablo 1 does it very well, and was one of the first ones to do it exceptionally well. And then you lose all that loot.
Yeah.
I think I lost all of my loot, like I think a total of 3 times throughout the game, the playing, and I was enraged every single time, and I thought I was just done with it until we got and then the next day I'd be like, you know what, maybe I'll just start over again. That'll be fun, right? And then you just get sucked back in.
At one point, did you say on Discord there is a Diablo-shaped hole in my life that needs filling?
It's just like, yeah, when you're just like it's a 9:30 and you're like, well, what am I? Okay, play Slay the Spire, of course.
I do believe I suggested Caves of Cud to fill this hole.
Yeah, that's a big Wikipedia. That's a big like look things up sort of game. That's not a chill like smoke some weed before you go to bed game.
I mean,
you just got to take a poof on the hookah, and then you're all set.
Hookah.
Well, Hell takes us to the final floors of the game, where we'll encounter Archbishop Lazarus, which if you've been paying attention to the 66 and 2/3 length manual, you'll know that basically like all the
incorrect. It's actually 80 pages.
Well, it's 666 is what I was going for.
I see.
That's the joke.
I missed the joke.
Well, I mean, there are some references to him, that dead guy, almost dead guy laying in the puddle of blood, which he's like mysteriously gone later. So presumably like Wirt like came over and like dragged him off and looted his body or something, or somebody took care of it
or something.
The town janitor, what have you, clean up these bodies. But he mentions like, oh, the Archbishop Lazarus, he brought us down to the catacombs to set a trap, and like, so like there's an expectation that you're gonna probably encounter him at some point. And my memory of this fight, because I didn't get to him this time, is it's kind of a cool battle if you're not horribly underleveled, I guess.
I mean, Robert and I made it there, and we've played it pretty lame, I think, where it was stone curse him, and then you put a flame wall under them, and then he just melts there, and you're like, all right, we'll just
wait. You can stone curse Diablo?
No, not
Nuke
Diablo.
him.
Lazarus.
Yeah, Lazarus
Oh.
was.
I watched that full speedrun video. I'm like, oh, that's how you do it. Okay, cool. Worked out pretty well.
And Lazarus, do we in the story, Scott? Do we know do he have something to do with Diablo's ascension?
The
Gosh, I remember.
Archbishop Lazarus, frayed and disheveled, returned from his absence and assured the townsfolk that he too had been ravaged by the growing evil of the monastery. With their desperate need for reassurance clouding their good judgment, Lazarus whipped the townspeople in a friendly mob. Whew.
Yeah, he corrupted Leoric, who I think is the Skeleton King on like third or fourth floor.
Okay. Got it.
I just happened to have the page open where it was talking about Archbishop Lazarus.
Thank God for that book.
I mean, this has been a great boon.
Manual.
Legendary tome of podcasting. Yeah, Archbishop Lazarus, kind of a mini boss before the main event. The final floor where Diablo, the Lord of Terror himself, reigns supreme. And yeah, I think as the only two people that and I actually made it that far, because I was in bed at the time, and I'm like, oh, surely they won't be playing Diablo and beating Diablo without me tonight.
I announced it the day prior. We're gonna beat him, and this is the time to be on. So.
Well, I didn't think you were serious because I didn't think there was like there was no indication in the Discord of all right, we're coordinating, we're moving in as a unit at this specific time to attack Diablo.
I can't do that anymore. I got a baby. I don't know when she's gonna be awake. She was asleep. The wife was taking care of the baby, so I was like, all right, this is my time to shine. I need to just hop on and play some Diablo.
You launched the sneak attack, and Diablo was not expecting it whatsoever.
He was expecting me to be taking care of a baby. It didn't work. Got him.
And then yeah, you launch into his pit, and you do all of your fun bursting on him and blow him up, and he.
Well, there's like three, like, yeah, you have to go through like three like blocks in this like quadrant based system of like slowly pulling the levers and then eventually getting to him, and it's just like one of the most unfun, I think, experiences of the game because the teleporters are just fucking annoying. And the only way we could kill them really was with the stone curse. And every stone curse I cast cost me like a mana potion because I'm a warrior who has no mana. So it's just like my entire inventory was just mana stuff and not any health stuff at all. And it's just like stone curse, replenish, stone curse, replenish. And it was just it was unfun.
I should have been playing with you. I'm sorry. I failed you. I abandoned you like Leoric.
Yeah, we just went back and forth to town constantly. We each had our town portals and we go in each other's portals to avoid, getting rid of them. And Will would just be constantly chugging mana potions. I was too lazy to even learn how that thing worked, so I'm just like, I'll just click on them. I'll hunt down the succubi because I could like stun lock them with my hits, and then Will would just go around like stone casting all the stone cursing all of the annoying teleport guys who teleport the very second you like get close to them.
Yeah.
You don't have to hit them sometimes; they'll just teleport, and the minute they start that animation, you can't hit them anymore.
And this was only viable, mind you, because of the 5 hours of grinding I did, which it was just like going through, running up to the witch, seeing what book she has, starting the new game, running up to the witch, and so you have to have like enough like books in order to like have the mana be somewhat reasonable when you use the spell, and so yeah, that was I can't imagine beating Diablo or getting down to that level without at least some degree of just grinding through a lot of bullshit. But I guess that's the nature of these games in the first place.
That's true. Yeah, I feel like that kind of the grindiness really highlighted itself to me as like it feels like a lot of rogue style games are anti-grind because like the idea is like, well, you're dead and then you just restart a new one, like maybe you'll win this one. But that's like the antithesis to this kind of style of game. And also I feel like other procedurally generated RPG games over like 6 hours long or something, or maybe over 10 hours. Where like you're so invested, you're like, well, if I die, like I can't give up now and restart. I've invested so much, and yeah, I think it's so baked into the DNA here. But
well, I think in the single player, that's less present.
That's true. Yeah.
According to my 20-year-old memory, longer for my ancient memory of having played this game single player, but also based on a little bit of reading that I was doing on Reddit. So I don't know. You can maybe argue that, like, well, you're playing multiplayer. Maybe grinding is more fun in a social environment. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, this was very concentrated grinding. This was like just running to that one person. Like if I had to actually organically get all the books that I needed, it would probably take me at least 10 times as long in actual gameplay. And so this was a way of getting around that. But I think mainly it was just because we didn't have other DPS people or ranged people.
Well,
Because you didn't
lucky
have me, your sorceress.
Exactly.
lucky for us, the Devolution X Discord is actually pretty active as like a BattleNet replacement for like looking for games and like seeing if people want to join your game to like go and loot farm some stuff. So there is that kind of availability there, I guess I should say.
But is it
But
good
so
enough to justify that?
yeah, I don't know. There's a reason why I kind of like I did not engage at all with Diablo 4 because I was like, you know what, I think I'm done with that kind of loot grinding treadmill nonsense. Um, but you've done it. You've beaten the Lord of Terror. You are greeted with a classic Diablo or Blizzard cinematic uh, that has the player character kneeling down next to this desiccated demon with a big jewel in its forehead. And what better idea than to take out your knife and cut the jewel out of its head? And once you do so, you remove the jewel, and this demon like crumbles into this corpse of I think it's was it King Leoric's son or Lazarus's son or there's some it's in the
Just a
lore.
guy, just a
Yeah,
random guy.
it's just some random dude. Well, random dude has a big gaping cannonball hole in his forehead, and you're looking at this nice juicy soul stone, and you're thinking to yourself, boy, wouldn't I too like to have a giant hole in my head? And then whack, the cinematic has you shove it right into your forehead, and the camera pans out, and there's this giant glowing orb in your forehead, and your player character is screaming as the camera pulls up in a way in a very con like moment. Um, and that's kind of it. But there is one more Will's favorite thing, one last voiceover that kind of explains and so I think maybe kind of sets up a little bit of the next one. I don't think they really had what they were thinking of in mind for Diablo 2 just yet, but you get another Paul Eating voiceover in very Aldaris tones here of the soul stone burns with hellfire as an eerie red glow blurs your vision. Fresh blood flows into your eyes, and you begin to hear the tormented whispers of the damned. You have done what you knew must be done. The essence of Diablo is contained for now. You pray that you have become strong enough to contain the demon and keep him at bay. Although you have been fortified by your quest, you can still feel him clawing his way up from the dark recesses of your soul. Fighting to regain control, your thoughts turn toward the ancient mystic lands of the Far East. Perhaps there, beyond the desolate wastes of Aranok, you will find an answer. Or perhaps salvation. And it's just this robed figure standing with this big ominous red mountains in the background, and then up comes the Diablo font, the end.
Always to the
Question
east.
mark?
What a sick ending. Come on. That's dope. Like normally I hate it when like there is a twist that it's like, well, the audience didn't know that information, but the character that we've been following knew that information. I think it works in this circumstance, and it also is like very tonally appropriate. Like, well, a hero doesn't have a happy ending. The hero is now cursed
And
to take on this burden to be the Atlas, holding this evil back from covering the earth. And unfortunately, as we find out in Diablo 2, the Dark Wanderer, which our hero is reduced to, unfortunately succumbs to that power, and that's sad and unfortunate. But hey, we get a wonderful franchise out of it. Diablo 2, one of the greatest games of all time.
yeah, it also, because it's like the first game, it worked out. The second game, yeah, that storyline worked out. The third and fourth game, it's like, okay, I get it. You take the soul stone, you put it in your head, you eventually become some corrupted demon, rinse and repeat over and over again. I don't know how they like can do something
They
new with the
can't keep getting away
franchise,
with
but it's
this.
just like yeah, they just keep getting away with this. They keep using the soul stone in their head and turning into a demon. And that is the next version of Diablo.
Well, I mean, yeah, and you know,
But they
Robert,
tried
that's
putting it in
great.
the bottom of the ocean.
That's how you get
Well,
rid of one of the
somewhere
main
in the
beams.
88-page manual, I'm sure that is mentioned. The 66.6
No, I
page
closed
manual.
it. I'll never know now.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's
we
okay.
did the
But
same thing
hey,
with
that repeating you know, process,
you
those
just know it.
runs, if you will, are very roguelike. And I'd say that the very storyline itself is an embodiment of the
Every run ends
roguelike.
with you with a gem in your forehead, and the next run is you.
Yeah,
That's
He's
yeah,
the
actually
new
one of the key
character
tenets
going to
of
kill your old
the
character.
Berlin interpretation, right?
yes, correct. It says
Actually,
right here.
I would like it more if it were explicitly saying that each time you went to kill Diablo, you were killing your previous character that won.
That would be pretty funny.
Game, yeah.
And if
Right here in the
there
definition.
were whatever they kept
Soulstone head.
one thing that you had before.
That'd be kind of neat.
Yeah.
Well, Diablo 5, let's see, we had almost an 11-year gap between Diablo 3 and Diablo 4. So I'm guessing in 2034 we'll get Diablo 5, which features Archbishop Lazarus, some sort of soulstone getting stuck in someone's head, and Adria betraying Deckard Cain once more. Although I wouldn't be shocked if this, I feel like this game that we played is like demanding some sort of, not even like a remaster, but like a reimagining, as it were. Like I could see a Diablo 5 being this game, but with like, I don't know, like Diablo All Stars or something, where it's like a more focused kind of single experience, but you just like, let's have like random shit from all of the Diablo franchise things, and maybe a more kind of
I mean,
focus.
they did bring some of them in because Adria in Diablo 1 is in Diablo 4.
Mhm.
And like Griswold's already dead. Deckard Cain is Deckard Cain, so he's just always hanging around. Wirt, you got to use his leg to open the cowl level in the second Diablo. So they bring aspects of the characters that were in Diablo 1 into the other Diablos, but
What they need
we'll
is
see.
cross-universe pollination with Protoss zealots coming in, and you're just in there whacking the zealots, and the Dark Templar
Isn't
appears.
that Heroes of the Storm or whatever?
Yeah, that is Heroes of the Storm, right?
Well, it is, but it's like it's MOBA, which means it's bad. So,
Whoa.
yeah, I mean,
90
like,
playable characters.
yeah, no, that's too big. Yeah, I could see.
Yeah, I'm down for a reboot for this series. I think that'd be great because, like, come on, the storyline, yeah, has been trash since like the expansion to Diablo 2. Like, it's always this
I
goof 'em
want
up,
Diablo
like,
Craft.
oh no, the Soul Stone.
Where's
I
my
stubbed
next?
my toe in the Soul Stone and now I'm possessed by Diablo. He's back again. What the hell? Like, just like give me a break.
I want either Diablo Craft or like Diablo Tactics.
Ooh, like a final. Ooh, I got it. Okay, patent
Final
pending.
Fantasy Tactics, but Diablo.
Yes.
Blizzard, listen up.
No, we have patent pending on it. They can reach out to us for exorbitant consulting fees.
The opposite.
We'll pay them to do it. Actually,
We'll pay them
$60 to $100.
Yes. Yeah, that seems like it would be a good, and crucially, it has to have like this. I don't know. How would you describe? Like, there's been modern versions of this kind of art style where it's like how Factorio does its graphics, where it's like a 3D render, and then it's like converted to sprite work, but it has that like kind of diesel, like like gritty, like you can just like taste the oil on the sprites. They're so gross. I want that. I want that kind of visual aesthetic. None of this like happy
Grunge.
like,
I want it to be a little grungy.
yes.
And like
Yes.
the pinata effect where all the coins are flying everywhere and
Well, yeah, and lots of
Those sharp
succubi too,
rainbows.
obviously.
of course,
Well, yeah.
you gotta have that.
Oh, that goes without saying.
That is the main tactic right there.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else we want to? Well, I guess we didn't really touch on the Hellfire expansion to this game, which adds a couple new levels: the Nest and the Crypt, a couple new characters, the Monk and Barbarian, and I guess like if you tweak the files, you can unlock a Bard. But there's things like oils and trap runes and some new spells and just some more stuff. Like the main titular boss Diablo at the end is harder. There's maybe some different interface stuff. But I guess also fun fact, the Hellfire expansion of this game was a finalist for 1998's Best Add-on Award. Does anyone know what the winner was for 1998's Best Add-on?
1998? Half-Life Opposing Force. I don't think it'd come out. Well, is it Half-Life Opposing Force?
No, Colin got it. It was StarCraft Brood
it's,
War.
Oh,
like, it's
well,
got
yeah. Tough
Brood War
to.
came out so fast.
It's okay to lose to yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
All
right.
Yeah, all right. Anything else we want to cover before we jump into trying to sell this game for some gold at the blacksmith, by which I mean ratings?
Let's do it.
Okay. In standard Grog Pod format, going from worst to first, and our guest, Robert, getting the last word here. Who wants to roll the Diablo die between our lowest rankers here to kick us off?
I'll go first. I mean, assuming I'm one of the ones,
Yeah, let me
because I didn't put in 45 hours of grinding on this game. I mean, I feel like part of my problem with this game was that I don't have the deep-seated nostalgia that you guys have for it. I mean, I played Diablo 2, but I don't know if this is probably the first I played like 3 hours of couch co-op of Diablo 3, and then however many couple hours with you guys in Diablo 4. But it doesn't quite have the grip on my young psyche. It has quite the same level as you. And I must admit, I'm still on the Caves of Cud grind. I've bumped my internal Caves of Cud score up to 8.9, and every time I was like, "Ooh, we could be playing Diablo," and I was like, "I would rather not." It's like it's just it probably was a great game when it came out, but I don't know if I can justify playing it in 2025. Like even just playing Diablo 2 would have been more enjoyable. So I'm giving it a 6.5. It still is a good game. It still has a good like vibe to it. Like it still has some like good ambiance. There's an 80-page like there's a lot of effort and thought that has gone into this game, but it's showing its age. And unlike some of the other games that are this old, uh, I think it does suffer for that. I mean, we alluded to not being able to go through doors at the same time. It's incredibly frustrating. The number of times that you die just from like really annoying mechanics is high. Uh, Dying and like losing all your loot, very frustrating. It's like, well, I don't want to grind through this again. I just do not like games where you have to grind anymore. I don't have the patience for it, and it did not snare me enough to do it. So I'll hand it over to Will, uh, despite who did apparently have the patience for it, but didn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's I gave it the same score of 6.5, which is incidentally that's the score of Tales of Maj'Eyal, where I think I beat that game or got very far in that game
I think
despite
you put
not
like
really
60 hours into that game.
yeah, not really enjoying it, but it was just like, all right, well, let's I want to kind of want to beat it. Why can't I beat it? And so it's one of those kind of things here where I'm just like, I want to beat Diablo. I don't know. I got nothing better to do right now, and I don't want to get sucked into another game, so I'll just play this bullshit. And yeah, so I mean, I'll just reiterate here that it would be a better game if it had fewer annoying chores. And this is like very much an MVP of this whole, Diablo 2, 3, 4. And so, I got to cut it some slack here because they didn't know about what good game mechanics were back then. But replenishing resources like HP or HP boost or just having things on cooldowns, that's like really important. So you're not always like, oh, I have to spend an actual thing to like a town portal scroll to go back into town to buy mana potions. It's just like, no, by the time they got to Diablo 3 and 4, they realized that's a dumb mechanic, and they did away with it from what I recall. Actually, I don't actually remember off the top of my head. Activated powers, tech trees, better pathing, like Colin said, more diverse elites. Elites in this game were pretty much one-dimensional. They might have some kind of resistance, but they all just have like different color, and they're surrounded by like 4 or 5 other like harder guys. And so it was like compared to Diablo 3 and 4, extremely rudimentary. And nobody's mentioned this yet, but the map overlay system was absolute dog shit. It just like completely obstructs your view of everything. It's like this overlay which goes right into the middle of the screen. And so it's just like always there, like occluding things and just looking really shitty. And I'm glad they figured out that that's a terrible mechanic in later ones. I guess my last complaint here, even though my list is quite long, I'm looking at the time. My last complaint is, yeah, that like I said earlier, good versus evil is stupid. I hate it. I don't ever want a good versus evil. I want the moral gray zone. That's not interesting anymore to have just that boring mechanic. So that's going to be 6.5 for me.
Well, I am going to give this game a very well-deserved 6.66
Oh,
because
nice.
I think that like
Easy. Oh, I might have to revise my game score.
yeah, I mean like look, it's a 30-year-old game for the PC that maybe hasn't aged as well as other stuff. The biggest criticism that this game really has is that it's not Diablo 2 and like they had to start somewhere, which is fine. It like melee is objectively bad in this game, I feel like the actual act of like running up and whacking dudes just by itself, not that fun. There's a reason why 2/3 of the characters are ranged. Felt like for me 50% of the game were just like doorway fights to just like reduce their numbers to nothing. um I don't like the item durability system. I think the enemy health regen is stupid city. Losing items in multiplayer like felt bad, but again, like these are all things that like you have to figure out how to do things the bad way in order to figure out how to do things the good way. And Diablo 2 is the answer to all of that stuff. The goods here, there are some goods to this game, believe it or not. The art and sound design to this game are really good. They're really, really good for a 30-year-old game. Voice acting, it didn't need it, but it's quite welcome here. It is in a good way, a very good mindless zone out Zen action dopamine click game. You just click around and you get dopamine. It's great. I think the pacing of the dungeon is reasonably good, but maybe the multiplayer stuff feels a little punch you in the face a little too fast. I do like the randomized quest stuff. The multiplayer actually like I had a fun time playing. Like despite the fact of like all of the things, all of the problems we were running into, like like it was fun. I had fun playing it. And I guess lastly, like the Devolution X like software, primo. Like I don't think I could have stood this game or had as much fun with it unless that stuff was there to have those kind of active quality of life things. And yeah, like booting it up and playing it on the Steam Deck, perfectly fun experience. So I think Diablo 1 like really like crawled or dungeon crawled so Diablo 2 could run. It launched, the incredibly successful franchise. It doesn't need our ratings really to kind of like it doesn't really care what we think, but I think also like this is the reason why games like NetHack and Angband aren't as popular because you need graphics, damn it. You need like stuff to actually make this appealing. I guess let me rephrase, as a commercial product. Those are both free games, open source. They've been open source for 30 plus years or whatever. But yeah, I think generally this game I had fun. It's maybe showing its age, hasn't aged well in certain areas, but I think for the time invested, like I'm glad that I got to experience the Diablo 1 what it had to offer. And I'm sure at the time back in the 90s when people were playing it, I can see why this would have been as revolutionary as it was at the time. So it's my new number 59 out of 85 games. Yeah, I think 6.666 feels about right for this game.
Well, that is everybody's entitled to their opinion. I suppose. Hey, look, this isn't the time for argument. No. But it is time to establish what's very important, and is that we've definitively determined that this game is a roguelike. So it's great that we're covering it today for the Berlin interpretation. And I'm sure Robert, who's
what about the Seattle interpretation?
I'm sure. Seattle, come on. The Tristram interpretation is what I'm interested in, but also important. Robert's guesting on the episode, so he doesn't know that we used to have a different ranking system, and it was really convoluted and goofy and crazy. I'm like, all right, guys, I guess I'll use it. And then as soon as I started using it, they go and switch it up on me. So my numbers are all jacked up, and no one can ever be mad at me for my rankings. That being said, I'm giving this mother. I had it ranked higher, and I had these jokers talk me into lowering the score during the episode. I got half a mind to raise it back up. I had it knocking on the door of top 5. But I moved it to my number 8 with 8.12 Andrew points, right behind Binding of Isaac, right ahead of Doom RL. This is Diablo we're talking about, baby. Oh no, I got to go back to town. You are excited to get back into that dungeon. You're tiptoeing back to the loot. You're selling off the good stuff. Ooh, you're seeing that gold number go up. Ooh, you're popping through the teleportation. You're back in the action, hacking and slashing. Just with every click, the joy, the serotonin is flowing directly into the town portals that are in your brain, and it's just fun on top of fun. The combat still hits after 30 years, folks. And as far as I'm concerned, part of my love of Diablo 1 has to do with my hate of Diablo 3 and 4. I think that this franchise really went in the crapper as soon as they kind of abandoned the soul and the character and the nitty grittiness of this original series. I think the atmosphere is still absolutely maintained. And the fact that we played so much multiplayer is we put up with this horrible lag. Like, it was pausing like once a minute. It would just like pause for a few seconds. We put up with that because what a fun time it is to be adventuring and delving down into the depths of Tristram with your pals in search of loot and other things barely related to the succubus character enemies. All right, so anyway, 8.12 points on the Andrew scale, and now I'll kick it over to our very important guest star, Sir Robert.
Oh, my, thank you. Let's see. I needed a little assistance with these numbers to figure out exactly what they had meant. So Will gave me a bit of a ratings guide. I think off of the guide that I received.
Alternative, you could rank it 1 through 4 out of the 4 Diablos.
Oh, interesting.
You can do whatever you want.
Now use the right system.
Don't listen to them, Robert. They'll change it next week.
Yeah, you have the Archangel Tyrael on one shoulder. You have Will Diablo on the other shoulder.
Why am I Diablo?
No. Will is like on the head of Duriel,
Perfect.
looking for Bale. All right.
I went with 7.5. It was engaging. So these days, I barely have time to play video games, which is very sad to me because I really enjoy playing video games. That being said, like these really long multiplayer sessions, I really got to get lucky with my timing in order to finish a game like that. This one's great. I can just sit there, mindlessly click. Like, I know when Will and I were finishing the game up, I had just cracked open a big beer, and I'm just sitting there, chilling, drinking a big beer, clicking on bad guys, and we're just talking on Discord. It's great, having a good time, clicking around. The story, there's a story there. I already know it because I know Diablo, like the franchise, really well, so I don't have to think too hard about like, oh, what's going on, or I don't even like really care like what's going on. Yeah, there's Lazarus. He needs to die. Up, Diablo's there. He needs to die. Like, that's all I need to know. So it's just easy clicking, drinking potions. You load up you go to Pepin, you buy all your potions, you go back down, you click, you press the potion button. Sure, it's not like very engaging mentally sometimes, but you just want to zone out sometimes. You just want to click on things, and in that regard, and finding the loot. Loot's always great. We all remember the dopamine hit you get when you find the legendary item and what stats does it have, and I got to talk to Deckard Cain to identify it for me. But when you find the right stuff and you go in, it's great. It's a lot of fun. So it was engaging to finish. It doesn't have a huge like replayability value, but it was fun. So 7.5 for me.
Well, overall, I'm actually kind of shocked that that Diablo it's like kind of in the middle of the pack here of all of the 84 games that we've reviewed thus far. It's a solid 41, which that's not bad. Like for a game that's 30 years old, or I guess going on 30 years old. Yeah, I think well deserved, all things considered. Some similar games.
Of course, it's well deserved. This is Diablo. Sorry. All right. Anyway. All right.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Diablo here, folks.
Like, I'll try to condense this as much as possible because this is a mile
What are some
long...
similar games? What is the entire incredible legacy that was inspired by this game? Tell us about this.
Let's read through every single action RPG game that was developed after 1997.
Some of them are even good.
Is in terms of action RPGs that are like very similar to this Diablo. I mean, obviously the
Diablo 2.
What? Never heard of it. You got your Titan Quest, Path of Exile, Grim Dawn, Darkstone, Torchlight, Last Epic, and Smaragd's Dream of note. And then maybe we'll turn the clock back some to like some traditional roguelikes that we kind of clowned on, but you know, are actually there's some similarities here. Disturbingly, Moria, which is the Unix fork of the original 1983 Moria game, disturbingly similar to this game. Angband, also disturbingly similar for like ASCII art, like console only. Like if you thought like 30-year-old Diablo had too much graphics going on, well, boy, do I have some for you. The developer of our pretty well lauded previous episode on Doom RL and Jupiter Hell created a game in 7 days called Diablo RL, which is literally just the game Diablo in ASCII format. That's free from the Chaos Forge website. And then recently released, there's a traditional roguelike with kind of, I would round it up to maybe like Diablo 3-ish graphics, but turn-based, called Lost in Prayer, which is quite interesting. Now, we do have a previous episode of like more kind of actiony rogue games. Previous episode, see Barony, I would say is kind of similar to this to some degree. First person. Nostalgia bait that hits really hard. A lot of people love the Fate games, Fate in all caps, which is like Diablo for kids. It is, and like maybe a 50% fishing simulator. But it is very much like delve the dungeon with your pet cat and like punch monsters kind of deal. Also previous episode, I somehow didn't put this in the right spot. Din's Curse felt very similar to Diablo 1, solo dev effort.
Greetings, mortal.
I am the god Din. That I booted up and I was like, oh yeah, this, you can see this is Diablo on its face. Recently released Hell Clock is quite interesting. What if Diablo but Brazilian war? You got Children of Morta, which is very multiplayer and lore like story focused. Heroes of Hammerwatch, which is like, what if no story? Or less so. Raven's Watch, people like. Book of Demons, I thought is quite interesting, which is like, what if Diablo, but origami deck builder, origami art with deck builder mechanics and real time ? And lastly, I'll throw this one in here because I think this might be similar, but just for posterity. Shape of Dreams recently came out, which is a multiplayer, maybe more Diablo 3 kind of style action game, but like, what if something like League of Legends, but good and good for you, and in a roguelike format or whatever kind of format. So check those out. I said them all really fast. Hit that rewind button, play it real slow. And as we wind down here, you can follow us on Mastodon, grogpod.gabedev place, where I've been doing all sorts of CUD posting for the past 2 weeks. Our website, grogpod.zone, has all the stuff. And if you want to send in an email, like this one that I'll read here really quick, you can send that into grogpodzone@gmail.com. This is an email I got from someone on August 21st, 2006 that says, hey, this is Robert. Just listened to the first, quote, trial episode of the podcast that I did, my first ever podcast. God, what, almost 20 years ago? Jesus. The email goes on to say, kind of sounds like when I did my first podcast episode. A little uncoordinated with some noticeable and ers. No worries, though. Scott's told me that you have the, quote, true pilot episode to come out today, so I will have a listen. Hope to see those issues ironed out. They do so when you record a few more episodes. Glad to see you guys have started your podcasting at 1:41 p.m. on August 21st, 2006. From one Robert. I don't know who that could have been.
Man, we actually became friends because you listened to my podcast, and then we hung out in college.
Hey, wait, I'm going to Western also. What?
This just reminds me that we should delete the first episode of our podcast.
Well, I think we went.
We should redo. We should do our Dungeons and Dreadmore episode in like
revisited.
Yeah.
Do a Cogmind episode without Will.
Wait, what was bad about that episode, by the way? The first one? I don't remember that being particularly different.
I think it was just bad because we didn't know what we were doing. Like all good
I
still don't
first
know what we're
podcast
doing.
episodes. We did Dungeons of Dreadmore, your
Yeah.
favorite
No, I
traditional
remember the
roguelike
game. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was very much like I was going way too deep into statistics and
Oh right.
yeah, like
Now I
oh,
remember.
let's find out what percentile it is. Nobody cares. And yeah, so feel free to send it into your emails from 2006 to grogpudzone@gmail.com. But that's gonna wind down our tormentuous episode here. But the Lord of Terror has been defeated. Our torment is finally over. But Andrew, what game do you have to pick for us to play to round out season
yes.
3
Oh,
of the
wow.
Grog Pod Roguelike podcast?
Holy
here?
moly, season finale. Well, firstly, just want to say thank you, Robert, for writing in. I'm so glad you're listening. Really makes making the show all worth it.
He's a big
And
fan
thank
of
you
the
for
show,
being
I think.
on. You've been referenced favorably quite a few times on the show, and it's great to have you actually here. As for next week's episode, um, just like people keep accidentally shoving soul stones into their head, and the cycle just repeats and keeps going with this horrible Diablo Lord of Terror situation. We are going to be keeping it Diablo, keeping it grim, keeping it dark with Halls of Torment, and just watch us give the game inspired by Diablo 1 a better score than Diablo 1. Like, it's just going to be crazy ridiculousness, listeners. But anyway, looking forward to that. I haven't actually played this, but I've heard great things.
Yeah, I think this one will be very exciting. Well, I think we're winding down here. Usually I have some kind of thing of like giving a hint of what the play out music is. We all know it. We all know what the play out music is going to be. I don't even need to say it. We all know what it is. So here it is.